Sandra Wiggins is the founder of DPI UK, a manufacturing company based in Leicestershire that produces aluminium frames and light boxes utilizing a printed fabric image. She is also an active member of Leicester and Leicestershire Enterprise Partnership and MIT REAP. In this podcast, we talk to Sandra about genderless leadership and how can we break down barriers to bring more women forward in business.
The idea of this talk originally, and I know Taz came to you, was to actually to talk about women in business and leadership. And I know that you went away and had to think about this, and it caused you several moments of reflection, and you came back and thought, you know what, I don't quite like that.
Yeah, I'll be really honest with you. Yeah. There was something that was just actually having that title. And I actually went away and had 1,000,001 conversations, if I'm really honest with you, with my daughter of different generations, females and males, to actually get a balanced view. Because I thought, why am I feeling so uncomfortable about that? Because I've actually promoted myself as a female in manufacturing, a female in business. I'm bloody proud to be both of those things.
You've won awards for it.
Yeah, I have, I know. But it's about filling the forms in, isn't it? Let's be honest. But what I'm more proud of is about my attitude and about the fact that I'm good at what I do. And that's not because I'm male or I'm female. That's just because I'm good at what I bloody do. And I felt a little bit like, I did actually say, I think it was Harmeet, I went, just don't roll me out. Don't roll me out. I was going, oh God, it's another woman in business and blah, blah, blah. Isn't she good? Oh, we're all good at what we do. And part of my coaching is about confidence, being confident about what you bring to the world, bringing value to. I've had the same discussion today with one of the universities that we are currently working with, and they went, oh, actually, you're probably looking more for vocational skills. And I went, no, actually, I'm looking for the academic skills, but with the can-do attitudes. So let's not just talk it, let's walk it, let's deliver it, let's bring that in. And I suppose it goes back to, we had this conversation the other day. God, I could feel like I could ramble on for hours.
Please do.
Yeah, I know. We had this conversation the other day about why are we rolling out role models and then putting them on pedestals and then creating bigger divides? That was one of the things, wasn't it? Why is it that you're good at this because you're a female, or you're good at that because you're male, or you're good at that because you've got academic skills, or you're good at that because you've got this attitude? Why can't we just be good at what we do and bloody enjoy it and have value for what that brings into a world, into a business?
Absolutely. I suppose to some extent, the world of education contributes to this, because even early on in the world of education, kids get sort of, you're a girl, you're going this way, and a lad, you're going that way. So we don't talk to girls about engineering, and we don't talk to boys about, needlework, whatever it might be. And so this sort of gender demarcation starts early on. And then, of course, we then get into other areas of demarcation or stroke discrimination as well. And I think this conversation can take us into all sorts of places, I realise that.
Yeah, let's be careful then, because we've done some of those conversations before. And I'm aware it's recorded. And I remember last time I'd forgotten it was recorded and it aired, and then I went, oh my God, what did I say?
But it's a fair point, though, isn't it? We have this, I think it's called that unconscious bias.
It is. And, I've been doing some real research on it, because I've already been part of some of the groups, the networking groups, some of the opportunities that have come my way, just by being a vocal person about the fact that I care about my business, I care about my team, I care about my grandkids having any opportunity they want in this world. I have 4 grandsons. And I look at them and in my mind I go, well, he's going to be this, he's going to be that, and he's going to be that. I am already creating that bias and actually giving them an expectation, I suppose, And we need to stop doing that a little bit. You know, we need to, one of the conversations that I have had recently, and actually it was on a manufacturing conference call, where I went, what is wrong with somebody wanting to work in McDonald's? What is wrong with somebody wanting to work on a factory shop floor? How many times have you heard in your lifetime, if you don't do this or you don't get your exam, actually, you're going to end up like something is really bad. That, you know, by having those job roles, you've got no value. And that's actually why I suppose I love manufacturing. I absolutely idolise my team on the shop floor, because without them, I don't have a business whatsoever. It's not the academics that deliver this business. It's not me up here, you know, filling in papers and filling in HMRC crap and all the rest of it. It's those guys that are actually making stuff that gives this business value. So why are we devaluing that role? And actually, I will take that back into a school environment. You know, I work as an EA for the LEP, and the school that I work in said the only route to actually a quality role in this world is through the academic approach. You had to go to university to have any value. There was no other offers or route to employment as far as they were aware. That was a given.
I mean, I've had this conversation with the world of education going back 30 odd years now, because I used to be involved with education business partnerships. And I used to complain, and I'm going back to the 90s, where that view seemed to be the prevalent one, and trying to get the teachers to understand that there were other routes to employment. And, the old apprenticeships and now the new apprenticeship routes. I can't believe that still,
we're still
30
there.
years on, we're still having the same conversation about it.
But the thing is, we could have the conversation, or actually we could do something about it. So I've done something about it, and I got off my arse, and I give up my time, and I go into that school, and I've had all of these, I've provoked all of these comments, and it's not whether I'm right or they're right. It's about how do we meet? And without having conversations, you don't get to understand both sides. So I understand their side. They've got to meet government guidelines, as in the GASB benchmarks, and they've got to tick the boxes from the high level up for them to actually be good at their own jobs. So actually, we've got to push back a little bit at the higher levels to go, you need to actually make this a little bit more sustainable for them. You know, I could go off on massive tangents about something that came out in the budget this week that has got my back so up that I am going to be writing somewhere about this, because if we don't actually give our viewpoints, if we don't create these conversations, and then we don't get off our arses and do something about it, we'll be still having these same conversations in 30 years.
Yeah, I rather suspect you're right on that, but I also wonder that if it brings us to the conversation about, positive discrimination, because it's very easy just to let things go, I suppose, to some extent, and so schools will carry on perpetuating the myth that boys go this way and girls go that way, and occasionally the odd girl may want to become an engineer or whatever, and everything in between. So, do you see a role for positive discrimination then in that?
Oh my God, if I understood what you were saying, I'd actually answer that, Mike, if I'm really honest with you.
Okay.
I mean, come on, it's natural colour, and you know. So what do you mean? I want to understand what you mean by positive. So basically, is it me going, you're a girl, so actually you've got to do an office job?
And positive discrimination will be saying, okay, you're a girl, we're going to push you down towards engineering, and companies being told to have quotas.
Yeah. So basically,
women,
what you were saying is
quotas on the board and so forth.
I don't want to be ticking boxes.
No.
I'm not here to go, I want the right person for the job. I don't care colour, creed. I don't care any of that. I want the right person with the right attitude for the job. And I think if you speak to any employer, they all say the same, but unfortunately, we are being pushed to go, no, you've got to have this percentage, that percentage, tick that box, tick that box. No, let's go back to getting the right people. Let's go back to just creating opportunities
For everyone.
so people, for everybody, so that we all thrive. Stop doing this divide that actually women are better than men are better than women. We all bring something completely different to every single situation. I'm completely different to the person that's next to me, female, male. So why do we have to keep having these divides? We've all got individual personalities. We've all got individual skills. We've all got individual thought patterns, confidence issues. There's always something that's stopping us being like the next person. Because otherwise, what a boring world would it be?
But I mean, it's fair to say that most of us have unconscious bias of some sort in one direction or another. How do we, and that manifests itself very often in the straightforward recruitment process, because whoever is recruiting unconsciously may have a thing about women or blacks or gay or whatever it might be, and therefore there is a move now to sort of neutralise the recruitment process. I mean, would you agree that perhaps that's quite a good idea, so that you remove that unconscious bias that people have, so that people get into the process based on their capability? How do you beat that?
Do you know what? I'd love to give you the answer, Mike. The problem is, I tell you what my problem is. Every time I have these conversations, it creates me another like, oh, hang on, I've not thought about that. Hang on, I don't have the answer for that. But actually, do you know what? By actually opening these conversations up and stop having, and we've had this before, let's stop pussyfooting around. There is politeness, there's political correctness, but actually there is actually getting to the point of what we all need. And what we all need is conversation, because if we don't have conversation, nothing changes. If we don't address the elephant in the room half the time, and many people say to me, oh God, you're not afraid to push the boundaries. It's not pushing boundaries. Actually, I'm questioning the boundaries. I'm questioning what it is that's going on. I'm questioning it because I don't have the answers, but I'm willing to open up the conversations, because by having the conversations, and we have honest and open conversations without all of the frightening to say something because God, someone's going to come down on us like a ton of bricks, nothing changes. Conversation, communication, collaboration. That's how we all grow. It's how we all get on. It's how we'll all get through this mess that we've been in, and actually stop the divides and bring back some unity. That was one of the conversations I've had of recent, was with an absolutely gorgeous woman that I know. And I call a guy gorgeous before anybody thinks that I'm sexy, and I wouldn't do that because obviously that I do that. And one of my conversations there going, what's your view on this? And I know that she's come out of a very corporate background in the beauty industry, where she was forced into being a specific type. And actually she ended up moving to be a person they wanted her to be, and not true to herself. And actually what happened was she actually crashed and burnt out. And she got to the point she didn't know herself. And that was probably a bit of where I've come from when Harmeet said to me about, this women in leadership. I'm not. I am just somebody doing a job that's absolutely damn good at it, that's not afraid to say when she's made a major boo-boo, that isn't afraid to go, okay, that's not work, let's go and try something else. I'm not afraid to ask the direct questions, because I want to get to the root of what makes people tick. Because when you understand that, that's when you truly get to align with them. You know whether you're going to be able to do business with them, whether they're going to be able to do business with you, and we all move on. People buy from people. The world goes round because of people. As much as we're going into a digital world, we're all people on here talking through the digital platform that's actually just a means to an end. We're not going to be taken over by robots. We can't all become computerized, robotic with no thought processes, because we need a thought process to put into the actual system.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just want to get back to some humanness, some human. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, no,
Let's
I was fortunate to, I go back a long way, as you know, and we were talking about this back at around about 1990 when women started going to sea for the first time in the Navy, and I must admit I was, aghast at the concept. But I've seen how the RN has changed, and how not just about having women at sea, but they've opened up, things like, being gay is no longer a sin in the RN, and they've opened up so that they have the diversity of talent. That's actually what it boils down to. It's
completely
about having that talent, and people with their different backgrounds, different genders, different sexuality, whatever it might be, they all bring a mix to the table, which actually, when you put it together, creates something really rather special.
Absolutely. I couldn't. It was very nicely put there, Mike, because if I could have formulated that whole statement there, I'd have been very proud to deliver that. But unfortunately, I didn't manage to get that together in such a beautiful way. But yeah, it's about going back to we're all unique. What are our strengths? How do we work that together to make that difference, to make the world go round? Because, without the world going round, not one of us survive, thrive, quality of life, whatever you want. And however you want to deliver your life is down to your personal choice. Your
Absolutely.
personal choice.
Well, there was a conversation I had, or I didn't personally have, but I was on a webinar with the first Sea Lord, and he'd asked the question about how many recruits did they lose that had tattoos, because tattoos were, if you could see the tattoo, you couldn't join the Navy. And they reckon we're losing 250 good candidates every year. And he said, well, scrap the bloody rule then, because we can't afford to lose good people.
And you know what? And that is the thing, it's about, that's the one thing about manufacturing. Manufacturing is a consistent process of change.
Yeah.
We're always looking to do something better. We will always hit a problem, so we find another way of doing it. That's what history does to us. History is literally, okay, that's not worked. Oh my God, we need to go off and do something else. Oh, that wasn't a good result. How do we change that? How do we make things? It's about making things better, isn't it? It's making the things better. Yeah. So we have to be open to, okay, this is the rule right now, but that doesn't mean to say it's got to stay like that forever. That means if we don't challenge the rules sometimes, I'm not saying that we have to go out there and run riots and God knows what else. What I'm saying is we've got to challenge things in the appropriate manner.
Yeah.
If we just sit there and moan about it and actually don't get involved in the change, nothing does move on. And I suppose that was where I came from with this. Yes, of course, I want to see more females within. Do you know what? What I want is to actually have that diverse board. I want to have those people around the table that can bring something brilliant to actually change the challenges, whether that's in this business or the challenges of the world. And without opening those opportunities up and actually allowing those people to have the confidence to step forward and bring to the party whatever it is they want, nothing changes. So it's not about being female. It's not about being male. It's about being confident about your own values and about what makes you tick and what you want to give to the world. And that is personal choice. And if you want things to change, then get involved in it. And that's not me being an expert, by the way. That's just my personal view.
Well, it seems to me if we can't even break down the barriers and the stereotyping between male and female, how the hell are we going to do it between, coloured, blacks, sexuality and so forth? If we can't even get through the basic issue of understanding that male and females can all deliver
absolutely
whatever, how are we going to break down all these other barriers that exist within society? Because it seems to me we are in a watershed moment at the moment, which has come about for a variety of reasons. But we actually have an opportunity.
we have a great opportunity to make those change. And, you know, I get called out quite a lot for some of the stuff that I do behind the scenes, you know, some of the work that I've done with the LEPs and, you know, going into the schools and doing those things. And everyone goes, why? Why do you do that? God, John, you busy? Yes, I am bloody busy. But I'm actually aware, I think what kickstarted it for me was some 4 years back recruiting for some guys on the shop floor. Guys, you see, I've just done that. I have literally just done that. So recruiting for team to build my team on the shop floor. And the people that were coming through for interview was so browbeaten and was so devalued because they felt that their only route to employment was on the shop floor, and that was second grade. And I spend all my time going to my guys, my God, without you, I don't have a business. That is the bottom line. And we all have to, and it's not that I'm a walkover, because I can assure you I'm not. They work really hard, but actually we create a really nice environment. Them understanding what this business needs and what the expectations are from us, and us understanding what makes them tick, what they want out of life, because it's absolutely different for every single person. That's how we get a really, really good team together. Really good team.
I was fortunate to listen to a lady not long ago called Mandy Hickson. And Mandy was the first woman to become an RAF fast jet pilot. And she flew Tornadoes. And she was brought in almost as an experiment. And she was going through her training, and she felt the only way to succeed was to be one of the boys.
Yeah.
And it took a reception in America when she went over there. And in the team with her was a French pilot. And he was the one who made her realise that actually the way to succeed was to be herself.
And you know what? I totally agree, because, you know, like I said, probably 5-6 years ago, we've had this conversation where I near enough had burnout myself. And literally that was because I have always been in just what's perceived as male-dominated industries. I started off at British Rail. I was the little girl that used to go into the office on the shop floor, and we used to have to be locked in a box with another guy to go and hand out the wages to the guys. And I'd have that box tipped upside down. I'd be locked in it. I've had all of those pranks pulled on me over the years. You know, I went off into international logistics. But in my day, it was called freight, it was called shipping. Now it's got a sector completely all of its own. And if you speak to anybody that was in those sectors 20 odd years ago, we all go, this never existed in our life. And all those industries, and I thought to be accepted as somebody within the roles that I was doing, I'll name it, I had to be a ball busting bitch. I had to be out there, and I had to be aggressive. And actually, do you know what? It took near enough crashing out to realise I don't want to live up to what other people expect me to be. We did have this conversation ourselves, because you went, it's going to be lively with you, Sandra. And I went, don't hype it. Don't roll me out as what you want me to be.
No.
This is my opinion. This is not being an expert in absolutely bloody nothing, because I'm not. I've got no certificates. I've got nothing to say. I have just actually taken every opportunity that was given me and got here by luck, judgment, fate, I don't know. But whatever I put myself into, I just went for it. And that's why I'm running my own business. And also the fact I didn't like the way other people used to treat me when I was a boss. So that probably makes me, I wouldn't say I'm a good boss. I hope I'm a fair boss. I hope I'm fair. Like I say, I don't take prisoners, because as far as I'm concerned, the business is the entity that we all have to feed. And if we all don't do our part, not one of us get paid, not one of us succeed, not one of us survive. And Yeah, and it is about actually sitting it back, stripping it back, and being confident to say what you think without being offensive, without hurting people, to actually just to go and be your true, real self, honest, human, communicate. Admit sometimes you don't quite get it right. My God, I wholly screw up. Wholly screw up. The bonus for me sometimes is in work that nobody realizes when I've cocked up. I have to hold my hands up and go, I've cocked up. But just be yourself. I think whether it doesn't, and gender, ethnicity, whatever should not come into any part of it. It's about what do you want to bring to this world. Bring it wholeheartedly, truthfully, honestly, from the heart.
That's interesting. I suppose I get this concern because I see what's happening in some universities where there is a desire to rewrite history and to cross out the stuff that we don't like because it upsets people. And I'm not sure that we're actually doing anyone a favour by doing that, to be honest.
No, because we need to understand why we've got to the journey of why we've got here.
Yeah.
What's actually moulded us to get us to this point? What's actually, looking at it from an individual level, there'll always be something that's happened in your life that's moulded you to get you to where you are, to actually to think the way you do, to deliver yourself in the way you do. Sometimes, whether it's good or bad, we all have that history that actually defines who we are now and where we've got to.
And if you delete
that's why it's called. If you delete it, what you do, what's the point in rewriting history? We've learned nothing if you just rewrite history. We learn from history. That's what we need to do. We need to learn from history about what works and what doesn't, and actually collectively change it for a better place. And we all play a part in that.
Yeah, and read the uncomfortable stuff and understand why it makes us uncomfortable and learn from that rather than try to pretend it never happened.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's literally what I did with Harmy. I literally, when he said to me, and I went, I'm really uncomfortable about that, and I don't know why. And I couldn't explain it. And I went away and had some great conversations with my daughter, who is an amazing young lady, who works her butt off, who's got 4 children, who faces every day. Everyone will say to her, you've got 4 kids and you're doing this job. And what she hears is, you've got 4 kids. How can you possibly be a good mother and still do your job? That's what she hears.
I know there's been this conversation in the world of film and entertainment that instead of having best actor and best male actor and best female actor, why not just have the best actor? End of story. Do you think maybe the same in business awards, that they should scrub around having,
I'm going to say, put me on the spot there. So someone who's just entered for the Enterprising Women's Awards because she had a bit of a panic about doing it for the Business Awards. So, but the thing is, actually, by you asking me to do this, has actually made me go and look at the things that I do. So it's actually made me question. It's making me question how I deliver myself. What do I need to do different to actually not to become part of the problem?
Because those are they do perpetuate the status quo, that you have women in business and you have men in business, and they're not actually the same thing.
I totally agree. I do totally agree. And this is from someone that's in female networking groups and I'll be honest, I put myself in a female networking group because I couldn't communicate with females. Honestly, and I put myself to the test because I actually thought, what value can somebody from my background, the industries I've worked in, give in a female group? How negative was that of me? So I don't have the answers, Mike. I wish I did, because if I did, I'd be a really, really, really happy lady, wouldn't I?
There's several books in it if you come up with all the answers.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, you're quite right, because every time you think about it, it poses another question, and that then goes to another, and it's ad infinitum. And I used to think that, for instance, the Black Lives Matter, I used to be against that, and now I'm not, because I've suddenly realised it's only by forcing the conversation that you get change. And
Absolutely.
I think that's what we've got to continue doing. And if
Yeah.
we are going to break down barriers so that at the end of the day we're all just seen as equal people, with all
Yeah.
the due respect and the dignity that brings, we're going to have these hard conversations. And I feel sorry to some extent for that CEO in Scotland who's just had to resign because of a tweet he put out. And I just think, I know what he was trying to say. Perhaps he should have crafted his words a little more cleverly. I don't know.
And I think that sometimes which is what I'm saying, we still have to, which I've taken to, I don't know if you noticed, one of my things is I have to literally think and process what you're saying to actually go, okay, it's not that I'm looking for the right answer, I'm looking for my answer of what sits right with me.
Yeah.
And I don't always get it right. That's the thing, I don't always get it right. And it'll probably come back in years to come with the amount of videos and podcasts and God knows what I've done this year, that I'll be hung up somewhere.
Well, I read yesterday that failure is an event, not a person. So we won't worry too much about that. And I think that's something that we actually ought to take more to heart in a number of different ways. So
learn from learn from what we do, learn from the bits we do wrong, learn from the bits we do right. Take it as literally, life is an absolute journey of change, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And if you're open to change, if you're open to understanding, if you're open to having the conversations that actually provoke your thoughts, then actually you start creating the conversations around you, and that's when change will happen.
Absolutely. And I do feel sorry for people who said something 20, 30 years ago and are now being pilloried for it because they had a viewpoint then, which is not necessarily in tune with their values of today. But, the things that I said 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I'm
going to trawl the net. I'm going to trawl the net and see what I can find.
There was no net then.
Oh, you see, now you're being ageist. I mean, I look at it and I look at my dad. I look at my own dad, and sometimes, and I think about some of the things he used to come out with, and I used to bloody cringe. I used to cringe, and
My stepfather still does. He's 95. You can imagine.
Yeah, and I look at it, but you know what? I didn't tell my dad did not realise my husband was of mixed race until 3 months before we got married. And he actually said to me one day I just thought, because he worked outdoors a bit, he'd got a good suntan. And if you heard some of the comments my dad would use, and the reason I didn't tell my dad or make that a known thing was because of my dad's comments, and I knew that would cause me problems. But my dad turned around to me and he went, he's a really great guy and I can see why you've done what you've done.
Yeah.
And that's all we're doing now, isn't it? We're going, that was happening then, and I created a change with my dad by literally presenting him with my hobby, I suppose. Yeah. But that made him think about how he delivered himself.
Yeah, and that's what we need sometimes, is just something to spotlight and
absolutely
bring it up and think, you know what, maybe that's not quite the right way of thinking of that or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. Sandra, I'm going to have a look at because there's lots of comments in the chat box, but I'm looking to see if anyone's got any specific questions. It might be.
Mike, I'll come in. So there is one question, and if anyone else does, I think they're coming through. But the first question is from Suki. And could you tell us about your people development program in the business and its challenges and successes? So just to clarify.
What day of the week do you want? What day of the week do you want? Crikey, this week has been a week from hell. So we've actually had, we've had another learn this week. Let's put it that way. We continuously learn, and something's not gone right this week. Something has just exploded. And what we do is we all get round the table and we have conversations and we challenge each other. And we just keep it in that room. We get to the point and we move on. Is that continuous? development. We want to all do our best. We all have to understand each other. You can imagine that they don't have an easy ride, because I'm not afraid to actually, when something's not right, to go straight to the point and go, that's not right, that's not what we agreed, that's not what we said, that's not working. Let's not go over it, and give it a autopsy. What can we do right? How do we move on from this place? Let's not waste our energy. Let's move on. How do we change it to be better? Which is why I say we are just a company that's on continuous change and progression.
Thanks. There's a question here from Julie Hollett. How does Sandra assure managers in her organisation to follow this mindset?
Oh my God, because I'm a nightmare. Because I'm a nightmare. Because I didn't have this mindset myself probably 5 years ago. I had a very angry mindset and I wouldn't say it was fixed. It was very, this is my way. This is my way or there's no way. And actually finding that doesn't work to get the best out of people, and just sharing that across everybody and creating a culture where not one of us are afraid to challenge. And it's a real balancing act, isn't it? About getting the job done, making sure everybody's happy, problem solving, because we all bring something different to the party every day. Because if something's peed us off at home, it comes into the workplace.
Absolutely.
So you can't help that. And you know what? I can't even answer that question, because it's just something that happens here. We give opportunity. And again, it's not my way. It's about creating the right culture that everybody feels safe, that they can grow in, they can be what they want, and they have value. They all have to understand what they need to bring to the business, because that's a given. That's an absolute given. And we as business owners, because it's not just me, I've got a business partner who's male, bless him. And you can imagine we have some great conversations behind the scenes. Great conversations.
Julie followed that up by saying, in other words, how do you hold them accountable? I guess part of that is actually by giving people a voice in the first place.
Giving people a voice, giving them. One of the other things we've done, we have changed the way we do every single part of our HR process. We have actually creating a culture that actually goes, HR is your friend. It's your HR is your friend. It's there to be your support network, but it's also to be there to protect the business, because we still have a job to get done. So as long as you understand what your role is and how you fit into what the business needs, that's lovely. When it doesn't quite fit and we've got some problems, we will sit down and we will work it through. Is the problem the fact that we haven't put the right structures in place? We haven't put the right training in place? Is it the fact we've got the wrong people in the wrong place? It's about having, and when you're growing a business, because we're only a small business that are growing, when you're growing it changes. We are not the same business model that we were this time last year. COVID created the biggest change for how we have to deliver ourselves and what we do, and how we've had to change. So it's about that growth, isn't it? It's about everybody having the opportunity to have a voice, understanding the business needs, accepting that they are not always going to meet, but actually creating the right structure that you allow the opportunity that we can actually realign them. And sometimes it doesn't always work out rightly for one or the other party. And that, I'm sorry, is the reality of life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You have to accept that sometimes things are always not going to work out, but that's part of running a business.
Absolutely. I've just seen Julie's message just pop up going, creating a trust in communication. That is completely right.
Yeah.
Completely right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting one. Harmeet, have you got the other questions come through there that I haven't seen?
Yeah, there's two more, I
Go on.
believe. The next one here we've got from Francis. Without a direct challenge, the status quo tends to persist. So it is a question, just making sure. So without a direct challenge, status quo tends to persist. People in power tend to hire people like them, i.e. men hire men. How do you think that should be tackled?
Oh, actually, no, I don't want to, God. Well, actually, I can't answer for them, can I? Because that's their business and their choice. It's about the choice of how they want their business to run. But actually, if they want people that are sat in front of them that are either yes people, no people, and actually they're not up to the challenge to be challenged, then there shouldn't be managers. They shouldn't be in them roles. And I don't know how you change that. Again, it's another one. I don't know how you change that. It's about
There's a lot of them about.
Yeah, there's loads about, and I come across it all of the time. And you know, but the thing is, do you know what? You know, when you have that ability to sometimes sit back and look and go, you have to question, why are they like that? What's happened for them to get to that point? Where's their insecurities? Because quite often it's about their insecurities. So,
Well, I've always followed the model that when you look at all the top truly successful companies, the golden rule, and Richard Branson said it was, you employ people who are better than yourself.
absolutely. Why would I want to keep doing the same thing? I want people to show me the way. I want to grow my knowledge as much as support them to help this business to grow. That's what it's all about. It's and the thing is, we're a massive thing. We talk about the skills gap that we're going into, and you hear it, don't you? That skills are not being passed down the line. And I have this argument quite a bit. Actually, let me change that. I have this debate. See, that's what I do regarding, I'll hear myself say something and go, actually, that's not what I meant. So I will go back and I will frame it, I will change it. We go back many times about having the right skills. Now, everybody automatically thinks, in my view, skills are about a bit of paper. To me, skills can be attitude, can be absolutely anything. And it goes back to the vocational, doesn't it, against academic. And it's about just bringing that value. Where does value come from? Yeah. We all have something to give.
Or something to do. It's just about identifying that in people, what they're good at, and using it. Yeah.
Using it.
Yeah, applying it. Yeah, that's great. Sandra, I'm going to bring things to a halt because I'm conscious of time.
Because I need a cup of tea.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, who was that? Who just put it there?
Mike, we can do. I think we can do one more question. And
fabulous! Go on then.
Oh, Taz, you're picking on me now. Stop it.
It's engineering related.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, Irandika is asking. Being an engineer myself, I've come across men who think women can't work in manufacturing or engineering, and try to put you down. What you do in that situation, because you are in manufacturing as well. So,
well, what did I used to do and what do I do now? What I used to do was, you got a one-liner back, mate, and you knew you weren't going to cross me again. Unfortunately, what then happens is you just get this attitude, or you get known as, oh my God, she's a bitch, or you get stereotyped as being this ball-busting bitch. And and I'm really sorry, maybe as well, I've not just done engineering, manufacturing, I've also run a pub. So it's about actually having confidence in what I'm doing. It's about having confidence to actually get in there and just tackle it. Because actually, if you want to, if you want to belittle me, what's so little on you, mate? That's the way I used to look at it. And I can tell you, I've done some pretty damn good one-liners in my time. Some that's actually made people's hair curl, because they look at you and go, my God, did she just say that? Yes, I did just say that. Because if you want to try and intimidate me, I'm sorry, you will get it back. The unfortunate thing is, that is where I crashed out. because you end up just being that oof, oof all the time.
Headbutting all the time.
Yeah, and do you know what? Sometimes you have to, I'm really sorry, but sometimes you just have to stand your ground, stamp your mark, and you have to just go to them. You know, I'm sorry, that's your insecurities. It really is your insecurities. Don't try and take your little man syndrome out on me. And I've come across women that have actually been very aggressive within, you know, because women can also, it's not just men, it's about the individuals and their insecurities. So let's not just label it at men. There is women. I've heard it from everywhere.
I've seen it as well. Yeah, absolutely.
But I can still do a good one-liner. I'm telling you now, that'll never lose me.
never going to lose that one.
No.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Thanks, Sandra. I think, I think we'll leave it on that one because it's a good note to finish on. I think. Thanks ever so much, Sandra. It's good to. I like your sort of from the heart approach, and it's and I think it's good for everybody else to hear what someone who's been there, seen it, done it, and wears the cap tally, as we used to say. So thanks ever so much.
I'm still doing it.
Still doing it, absolutely.
Yeah.
So thanks very much, Sandra. It's a pleasure as always. Cheers.
It's been a pleasure, Mike. Thank you.